Good morning, Earthlings. How are you today? Josh Poet with you here. Hope you're having a good day so far. I know it's just getting started here on the West Coast, but on the East Coast you've been up a while, and around the world, well, some of you are getting ready to go to bed. So whatever part of the day you're in, I hope it went well, is going well, and will continue to go well. Today on the Dream Spell calendar, our date is the yellow spectral sun. Yellow spectral sun. Yellow is the color of ripening. Spectral tone is called the spectral tone of liberation, and the sun is all about universal fire. The guide today, because it's an 11-tone day, and it is also the sun. So the sun is the guide and the daykin. The phrase for today is I dissolve in order to enlighten, releasing life. I seal the matrix of universal fire with the spectral tone of liberation. I am guided by my own power doubled. On the Gregorian calendar, it is Wednesday, June 22nd, 2011. Now, there's a bit of discussion out there about the difference between the Mayan calendar, the Dream Spell calendar. Are they the same? There's different philosophies out there. I think I need to probably spend some time discussing that so you understand the difference. So I'm going to do that tomorrow. That's what we're going to get into in tomorrow's show. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, we're going to jump to the cosmic news right now with Dirk Bradshaw, who's got some news and information for you about the media. Should you trust them or should you not? Dirk, over to you.
Next up on the Cosmic News Network, the Cosmic News with Dirk Bradshaw.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just a caveman. I fell on some ice and was later thawed out by some of your scientists. Your world frightens and confuses me. And when I see my image on the security camera at the country club, I wonder, are they stealing my soul? I get so upset, I hop out of my Range Rover and run across the fairway to the clubhouse, where I get Carlos to make me one of those martinis he's so famous for, to soothe my primitive caveman brain. But whatever world you're from, I do know one thing. Free in LA is the greatest thing on that intramanet, or whatever you call it. Free in LA has over 3,000 things to do free in Los Angeles. So, you don't have to be a caveman to know that freeinla.com is the place to be. Flying high above the planet Earth, this is the Cosmic News with Dirk Bradshaw. Hey there, boys and girls, children of all ages. It is time for the Cosmic News with Dirk Bradshaw. I am Dirk Bradshaw, and tonight, well, you know the old adage, you are what you eat. Well, in this day and age, especially here in the United States, you are what you watch. And if you're watching garbage, I don't have to say any more. You got to think about what you're watching and the media and where you get your news. Are they always covering every side of the story and never biased? Is your mainstream media source run by individuals with absolutely no conflict of interest? Who owns the company that owns the company that owns the television or radio station? Is there a group of people who dominate the supply of information? Do you think you will hear the truth about their ambitions and activities? If the channel bosses tell his reporter to spin a story in a certain direction, which do you think the reporter values more? His income necessary to live, or the unvarnished truth? That's right. Tonight we take a closer look at mainstream media and why you need to be watching the Cosmic News more. That's tonight on the Cosmic News.
The thing that is most amazing to me is the lying that goes on today. You are now teaching, I'm not making this up, we are teaching damage control and spin. I remember in this country we used to call spin lying. Now we call it spin and we study it and we admire it. How to put out a line of bull and have it fly for more than 24 hours and then they high-five each other because they beat the other side if it's another party or it's another candidate. Or it's another company, if it's one company with another with their annual report of their quarterly earnings or this or that. Public relations has overcome our whole society. It's all PR.
Many people are not aware that when you watch television, you are watching a program produced by a large multinational corporation that has enormous conflicts of interest.
General Electric and NBC is a perfect example. How can we be sure we're going to get the kind of information we need to have about the nuclear industry, about defense contracts, and all of those things when NBC is beholden to this parent company? Why would they report on that? Of course they wouldn't. Why would ABC report on what's going on at Disney? They wouldn't. There's no point in it. And it's precisely for that reason that those companies want to own television stations in the first place, so that they can keep a check on those sorts of things.
General Electric has made it a very proud part of their policies that they are going to move jobs from the United States of America to China, to Mexico, any place in the world where they can get cheap labor. This suggests obviously that General Electric is deeply concerned about our trade policies. Over the years, General Electric has done its best not to pay taxes, or to pay as little as they can in taxes, taking advantage of all kinds of corporate welfare tax loopholes. Suggests very strongly that General Electric has an interest in tax policy. General Electric is a major polluter. Therefore, they're concerned about weakening environmental policies. It's not obviously just General Electric. It's the same thing with CBS or ABC. The conflicts of interest are enormous, and the result is that certain issues are talked about, certain issues are not talked about.
In close to 11 years, we've done more than 100 reports. The reports and investigations about public servants screwing up or systemic abuses of the public trust by public officials almost always get covered. We're the ones that broke the Lincoln bedroom scandal about the Clinton White House. We've done a lot of this kind of thing. When we do those stories, they get covered and the media jumps on them, frankly. We have a news conference. We normally have 50 or 60 reporters, 4 or 5 cameras. But I have to tell you, when we've investigated corporations, for some reason it just doesn't get covered. Media corporations don't cover the news when it comes to politics anymore. The political news coverage in 2000 was half what it was in 96. 96 was half what it was in 92. The third leading source of revenue for the media today, broadcast media, happens to be political ads. So if you're a politician, the only way you get heard is with ads. In 1981, the media was getting $80 million from political campaigns for ads. Today, the last campaign, they got $1 billion. That's why you've got to have millions of dollars to run for office as a politician. You're either a millionaire, you're able to raise large sums of money all day, dollar for dollars, and that's who goes into politics. And you are complicit in this system.
The level and quality of information available to the public. They clearly are wildly misled today by a propaganda apparatus that is associated with the entertainment industry. I mean, that dominates it for commercial and commercial reasons, commercial profit, from Fox News to Verizon's control of CBS, GE's control of NBC, Disney's control of ABC. There's hardly a word put out on it that you can believe, and if you actually know something about the subject before you hear it, you know what you just heard was not true. It happens all the time. Or the happy news that follows after the first 15 minutes. It's quite literally like listening to Pravda. And as the Russians used to say, no one reads Pravda to get the news. You read Pravda to get the line. You get the news from people you trust, from your own little radio, from samizdat, from messages that friends transmit to you. I no longer read the New York Times for the news. I read it for the line.
Let's look at the media. Here's a quote from the Los Angeles Jewish Times on the huge conglomerates who overwhelmingly control the mass media. Quote, 4 of the largest 5 entertainment giants are now run or owned by Jews. Rupert Murdoch's News Corp is the only Gentile holdout. However, Rupert is as pro-Israel as any Jew, probably more so. That's from Los Angeles Jewish Times, October 29, 1999. In fact, even the 5th media conglomerate, News Corp, has a man of Jewish descent as its CEO. His name is Robert Chernin.
Ostensible diversity that conceals an actual uniformity.
The truth of the matter is that increasingly what we see, what we hear, and what we read is being controlled by fewer and fewer large multinational corporations.
People don't appreciate this. You know, in the last days of the Soviet Union, you had dozens of newspapers, dozens of magazines, all kinds of radio and television stations. The only problem is that all of that media was controlled by the Communist Party of the Soviet Union or the government of the Soviet Union. We are moving in that direction.
There is an illusion of choice that's maintained when you can have 100 channels on your cable system, and how many movies did the studios release a year now? All these different studios, and the music industry with so many labels, and magazine stands that go on and on and on forever. Well, the owners are a handful, 5, 6 different companies.
And that is a very dangerous development for those of us who believe in a vibrant American democracy.
Prudent people no longer believe what they hear. That is, the spokesman for the Department of Justice comes out and says, we have our highest priority is to maintain constitutional liberties. Well, obviously, anybody who's paid any attention in the United States in the last 2 years knows that the direct opposite is true.
About half an hour ago, it must be said that the police completely lost control. Let me explain exactly what happened. I'm at the end of Queen Street here. There was a large number of protesters behind this police cordon here, and that crowd grew and grew, and simply that line of police officers was not able to hold them back, and as a result they came flooding through here.
The view left Mercury.
They came flooding through here. I'd say there were about 200 of them, mainly young men, and they ran amok down this street. You might be able to see our satellite trucks down there. There's a ITV satellite truck down there as well, and our truck at least was attacked. We were so frightened at one stage that we actually had to lock ourselves in the truck. And these protesters then proceeded to smash up some of our equipment. Before running off down in that direction. And rather worryingly, it's in that direction that Highfields is, and Leicester is a city with a very large Asian population. And Highfields particularly is known as an Asian area, and there are unconfirmed reports that those youths who, as I say, were running amok here just 20 minutes ago are heading up in that direction.
The thing that is most amazing to me is the lying that goes on today. You are now teaching, I'm not making this up, we are teaching damage control and spin. I remember in this country we used to call spin lying. Now we call it spin and we study it.
It's always important to be in the know, to be ahead of the game. And in order to do that, you need to listen to First Contact Radio with Joshua Poet. News and information they don't want you to hear.
Oh, man, I can't believe it's over. Where does the time go? Well, I see the fat lady's off the stage. She's looking right at me. It's time for me to go put her to bed. I hate goodbyes. So instead I'm going to say, until we meet again, I'm Dirk Bradshaw for the Cosmic News. Wake up.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Government should be afraid of people.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw a UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The evidence is overwhelming. Step past your fear, take a look. Illuminati lies keep growing. What they're losing from your eyes. And wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What would our founding fathers say if they were alive today? Must be turning in their graves. Redcoats are coming, Big Brother's watching. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. 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 Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. This is Josh. This is the UFO News for today. We've got some interesting stories for you here, all available at firstcontactradio.com. Just click on the little link on the right-hand side that says UFO News. All these stories are there. All right, the first one comes to us from UFOdigest.com. A plea for UFO cover-up deathbed confessions by Larry Bryant. Says, although he wasn't on his deathbed when he began to blow the whistle on U.S. government's UFO ET cover-up, retired Army intelligence officer Jesse Marcel Sr. did point the way for others to come forward with deathbed confessions as their role or knowledge of the cover-up. He had lived and talked on the record for several more years. Marcel doubtless would have become even more of an asset of today's researchers trying to pave the way for a full-scale congressional inquiry into the cover-up. Essential to that inquiry would be the reliable, verifiable sworn testimony offered by any witness who now, after perhaps decades of forced silence, has contributed or has concluded that he or she has nothing to lose by telling all in a deathbed confession. Let's say that within the next few years we can round up about 100 such confessions, presumably from witnesses having only several months to live. In short order, we'd have a volume of recorded testimony that might carry enough grand jury-styled evidential weight to persuade the national news media and the Congress to raise their heads from the UFOs and start asking the right questions of the right people. Ideally, the witness testimony should be in form of videotaped interview accompanied by a notarized declaration attesting to the authenticity and veracity of the interview. The evidence then could be stored in a declarant's safe box or protected site depending on his or her demise. For those who prefer not to go on camera, I've drawn up the following form for them to execute and release at their convenience. So you can go online, firstcontactradio.com, go to the right-hand side, UFO News, and the story is there, and you can follow the story to this link here and find out how you can go ahead. And if you are somebody that has a deathbed confession, UFO deathbed confession, then maybe this might be the story for you, and follow the link on how you can go ahead and present that information. Now here we have a UFO expert. This is from programs.stv.tv. UFO expert believes something strange is going on in Scotland's skies. Says it's hard to imagine the industrial town of Bonybridge near Falkirk as a portal to another dimension, but everyday hustle and bustle of the area hides a more mysterious and sinister background. Nicknamed the UFO capital of Scotland, Bonybridge is a hotspot for extraterrestrial activity, and people from around the world have come to this town to gaze at the skies above. Some reports state that there are over 300 UFO sightings a year in the town alone. UFO expert and author of Beyond the Falkirk Triangle, Ronald Halliday, believes that Scotland's twilight zone isn't just restricted to the Falkirk area, and there are strange lights to be seen all over the country. Is there something strange going on in Scotland's skies? Speaking to the Hour, Ronald, people do have close-up encounters, and people do claim to have seen things that are very hard to explain right away. There have been thousands of reported sightings in Scotland, and the fact that the country has been labeled the UFO capital of the world, well, there have been some suggestions that Scotland acts as a window into another dimension. Again, there have been thousands of reported sightings of UFOs in Bonybridge over the years, and all sorts of strange things have been happening. People from all over the world have gone there to see if they can spot something. If you want to see a UFO, come to Scotland. There's much more to the story here. Follow the link on our page. You can get the rest of it. Now, there was a new crop circle. This crop circle here took place in Stonehenge, of all places. Let me bring this up for you here. I'm going to let this run through. And let's see. This was Oliver Morell, ecropcircles.com. This was near Winterbourne, Stonehenge near Winterbourne, Wiltshire, UK, 20th of June. That was just the other day. All right, here we go. You can see what this looks like here. It's a big circle, obviously, which is why it's a crop circle. And we got the X in the middle, but then we got this other little shape going through it, which is sort of a part of a circle in one direction and a line going across. Let's see if there's probably closer up versions of this here. There's a high distance version so you can see what it looks like. Most interesting indeed. Like a cross or a plus sign with this added little element put into it here. So go to the page, go to our page, check it out, see what you think. This comes from latest.ufo-sightings.net. Again, firstcontactradio.com, right hand side, you'll see the link, UFO News. Click on there and you'll see the story for today. And check out the video, see what you think. See what you think that is all about. Now we have a UFO was seen and filmed over Germany, June 20th, 2011. This disc-shaped UFO was recorded flying across the sky in Germany on Monday the 20th, 2011. Let's take a quick look at this here. Okay. Alright, you can see something flying across. That might just be a plane right there blinking. Alright, and there we got a different object. This is not a plane. The blinking is a bit different. The way it moves is different. The shape is different. The lighting of the whole craft itself is different. Alright. Very interesting indeed. That's over Germany, so go and check that out. And here we have another sighting. This was over Lake Havasu in Arizona. Remarkable UFO, daytime UFO sighting of disc-shaped object hovering above Lake Havasu in Arizona. Footage apparently recorded this month. Let's take a quick look at this. This is RDTV report. There you go. We got a nice, good-sized ship there flying back and forth. This is a really good close-up of it. Nice, good, clear image. You know, the ships are becoming clearer and clearer these days. They're definitely presenting themselves. They're letting themselves be seen so we can see the full aspect of what they look like. Pretty interesting indeed, don't you think? Alright, and one more story for you today. This one has to do with the story we talked about the other day and Russia. And let me go ahead and bring this over for you. There we go. What we have here is an old video, but this was of a crash retrieval that took place in Germany. So, take a look at it here. Let me zip up here. This. Alright, as you will see from this video here in the right side here. Alright, as you can see right behind where these Russian soldiers are, you see some sort of object in the ground here. And let me back up, see if we can get him. You see this right over here on the right hand side, this disc-shaped object. Well, there's rumors and thoughts, and certainly looking at this video, that Russia has in their possession a UFO that they captured, maybe several. If you remember the footage we showed was it last week? I think it was the Black Hawk helicopter or an equivalent to that over there in Russia, carrying what appeared to be some disc-shaped object. The object itself must have not been very heavy because the ship was able to pick it up and move it around. But does Russia have this technology there? Is Russia about to be the one to disclose? Is that why there's more and more information? What would you think about that, America? If here's all this information, all of you Americans, you know what's going on, you have an understanding about the phenomenon, and then Russia jumps to beat you to the punch because the leadership in the United States decides they don't want to put this information out there. So maybe another country is going to be the one who's going to release it, and America is going to be behind the 8 ball again, behind the times, because they choose not to investigate or put this information out there that should be known and is known. So hopefully they'll get with the program, but nonetheless, I have a feeling that as things escalate, they're not going to wait for the U.S. government to go ahead and give them the okay or welcome them down to the planet, because actually it's the U.S. government who's causing the problems in many ways and is shooting at the aliens and the ships. So they're going to make themselves known. I have a good, strong feeling about that. In the very near future, you're going to see something and have a bit more understanding about what's going on. So that's the UFO news for today. I'm going to jump to a song when I get back. More news and information. As always, the song is called Roswell.
Headline edition, July 8th, 1947.
One day, I was looking to the sky. I saw up above the clouds. It was a silver shiny disc floating high above the ground. Then I saw them waving to me. It was E.T. and his family. Something happened up the street from the ground. The sky had shot the UFO down. Roswell, he didn't make it home. Roswell, he didn't make it home.
The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
One day, I was looking to the sky. I saw a UFO shot down. It was a silver shining disc broken in pieces on the ground. Then I saw them lying there, bodies scattered everywhere. Something happened, the military show picked up the pieces and the case was closed. Roswell, he didn't make it home. Roswell, he didn't make it home.
Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio.
One day, as I was looking to the sky, I began to think for myself, what if another ship comes down to take E.T. home? Then it occurred to me, maybe this is Earth's destiny. Something like this won't happen anymore. No more missiles, no more UFOs down. Roswell, he didn't make it home. Roswell, he didn't make it home.
Headline edition will bring you special reports and interviews in a moment.
All right, welcome back, everybody. This is Josh, firstcontactradio.com. If you head on over there, you can sign up and follow us over on Twitter. Keep informed with all the latest stuff we've got going on. It's twitter.com/first contact now. Keep in touch with us. We also have a Facebook page, so you can keep in touch with us there as well. Now, Dirk told you a story about the mainstream media, and they don't always tell the truth. Oh my gosh, can you believe that? Well, I certainly can. I've heard plenty of lies. I've watched news stories where, just like that, where they were talking about events taking place, a protest. One time they were talking about a protest when they were having the protest in Wisconsin. And they decided to do a report. I believe this was Fox News was doing a report that there was trouble and protesters causing riots and fights over there. And so they showed this group of protesters that were kind of pushing and shoving each other, and they alluded to the fact that this was taking place in Wisconsin. However, in the background, despite the fact it was a snowy day in Wisconsin and a rainy, cold day, behind these protesters you could see palm trees. Now, I've been to Wisconsin and I don't remember too many palm trees out there, but out in Southern California there's plenty of palm trees. And it suddenly occurred to me as I was looking at it that I was looking at video footage of California, and they were telling people that it was Wisconsin. And of course, if you didn't really think twice about it and you just saw it real quick, you wouldn't even give it a second thought. And then the incident of the pushing and the shoving, and when somebody else with another camera was zoomed in on the area inside, actually in Wisconsin, in the hall, when they were showing other people pushing and shoving, there wasn't anybody pushing and shoving. It was all made up. The reporter just made it up on the spot and then ran with it just to make a point of some reason. Now, the other day, this was a really good one. Gabrielle Gifford. Where was she shot? Tucson, Arizona, right? Plenty of news coverage. Yet according to the reporter on CNN yesterday, she said that Gabrielle Giffords was shot in the head when she was in Germany. I know, you heard me right. That's exactly what she said. In Germany. And then when they did the repeat broadcast later, nobody bothered to go through and re-edit that and put the right phrase in there, Tucson, Arizona, as if people aren't smart enough to catch on. So does that mean over there at CNN they don't have anybody that monitors their teleprompters? Does that mean that the person who's reading the teleprompter really doesn't have any other thought in their head and any awareness really of what's going on, so they're just going to read whatever is there, whether it's right or wrong, and not even take a time afterwards to say, oh, wait a minute, I made a mistake, it wasn't Germany, it was actually Tucson? Kind of weird, don't you think? But we did a double take when we heard it. We even did a little rewind to go back and make sure we heard it right, and yep, sure enough, according to CNN, Gabrielle Giffords, who we all saw and heard the story about the incident took place in Tucson, Arizona, well, according to them, took place in Germany. Go figure. Now, here's some news I want you to stay on top of. This is just something to be aware of. This is out of WVEC.com. International naval exercise begins off Virginia coast. Norfolk. Ships from Russia, France, and the United Kingdom are in Virginia to participate in a naval exercise with the U.S. The ships arrived at Naval Air Station Norfolk on Monday for an exercise known as FRUCUS. FRUKUS stands for the participating countries of France, Russia, United Kingdom, and the United States. The U.S. Navy says the exercise will last 2 weeks, aimed at improving maritime security through open dialogue and increased training between the participating navies. While ashore, sailors from each ship will participate in damage control, firefighting, and ship handling training. Next week, exercises at sea will be focused on training in maritime domain awareness, anti-piracy, and maritime interdiction operations. So, what does this mean for us? Does this anything that we should be concerned about, that there are international troops here in this country doing drills? Well, maybe not. Maybe they're just doing drills. Maybe that's what it is. After all, they have to do drills somewhere, and you know, it is certainly something that is a possibility. But then again, when you look at things from the conspiracy standpoint, there's a lot of concern that It might be the foreign troops that are going to be in the States, and they are going to have less concern about the American citizens than the American troops would be. So let's pay attention. Just know that they're here. Hope that they're here to do the training that they need to do with our military, and that it's not going to go anything past that. Now, here's a video. I think this is a good one I want to play for you in that regard, because the other day there were and has been a number of reports, and I played one on here, of truck drivers reporting seeing things like FEMA in a number of locations, seeing what they described as strange troop movements. Some of these may be natural, some may not be natural. Found this really great video online. It was posted up over at the Intel Hub, and it has a good explanation of things that may or may not be. Now, it's important during these times, first of all, to be well informed. Second of all, to not panic, to think clearly about whatever is going on, because you need to be able to think clearly to discern whether what is going on is a threat that you need to take action about, or whether what you are perceiving is not a threat, something simply to be aware of and know is going on, so that you can discount it as being a threat. You need just to use your mind, your intelligence in this regard. And so this video answers some of those questions. Let me get to that and see what you think. Alright, here we go.
One more video from me today, because a trend that has come up every single summer is coming up again. And that trend is, I've got video of military vehicles going down the interstate near military bases. Oh my God, martial law warning. I want to remind all of you people, there's the National Guard, and the National Guard advertises 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks in the summer. So guess what all the National Guardsmen are doing all over the country right now from every branch of reserves? They're trying to get their 2 weeks of training out of the way, and that almost certainly means they'll be using military vehicles to go places and do things. That is no big deal. Now, I did see a good video recently. Somebody had this gigantic trailer, like 3 sections long, attached to just a semi with police and military escort. That is suspicious movement. And I don't know what they were moving. All I know is that whatever it was, they were very, very adamant about protecting it. Outside of that, all you guys out there that make videos, I want you to keep this in mind. Don't fear the military. They're just doing their job. They're just running around getting their training in. They're just ready to get their 2 weeks over with and get back home. Now, if you see units of people moving around in convoys, and you notice that they have weapons mounted to those vehicles, and those mounted weapons don't have big red blank adapters on the front screwed in tight, and you actually see rows and rows of bullets attached to those mounted weapons, then we have something to worry about. However, I have heard absolutely nothing of any of that on one of these occasions. And when convoys move, they're generally going to move slow, they're going to move in the right lane, and big deal. It doesn't mean too much. One other thing with the military that has been getting me in that I've got some clarification on recently, and this is definitely, as in my mind at least, this is logistical preparation for something. And no, I don't think it's to use against you or the American people, but a lot of people all over the country are seeing military aircraft, whether it be C-130s or Chinook helicopters and blah, blah, blah. And they're seeing them in communities where they haven't before. My cousin is an A-10 pilot in the Air National Guard, and I specifically addressed him about this because we had 2 C-130s come right overhead and land at our little tiny municipal airport. And apparently they were running a training exercise, but they landed with an attached afterburner rocket to help them stop. So I asked my cousin about it. He said, oh, that's no big deal. The Air Force has been buying up usage rights to municipal airports all over the country for training purposes. Now, training purposes is a good cover, but there's absolutely no need for those runways for training purposes. What it is massive logistical support, meaning the federal government can move their troops to multiple places in every state nationwide. And the local communities like it because they're getting some free money out of it, or they're getting some easy money out of the deal. And most people look at it as a good thing. But that's what's going on in that bit as well. But my original, the only point that I really have is, let's try to make it through this summer without strings of ludicrous videos about military vehicles moving around, because the U.S. military resides within the borders of the United States, and they do have trucks that they drive occasionally, and they always have, as long as our country has existed, and this does not constitute a threat. So if you're out with your camera and you see something worth videotaping, videotape by all means. But second guess it before you go uploading it and giving everybody a big martial law warning. That's all I got for today, maybe. I'll shut up now.
All right, just something to keep in mind. You know, we want to be clear-headed about whatever's going on. There's a lot of challenges in the world. A lot of challenges. From the weather challenges to the prophecies that are out there, to the planet concerns, to false flag events, and then non-false flag events. A lot of things. You want to be clear-headed. Definitely clear-headed, because that's how you're going to get through all of these times. Now, another thing I want to turn your attention to here is I'm going to have this video posted. This is, again, Packy, powertheweb.net. He's got a lot of great stories on his links down here. I got time, just play a little bit right at the beginning here for you.
Hey guys, Packy here. It is 4:09 p.m. Tuesday, June 21st, 2011. And happy solstice to you guys. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but looks like I'm going to have to be the bearer of bad news. Prestigious doctor, U.S. nuclear baby valley of death. Millions to die plus video, guys. Now you guys know I always provide the links. Check them out. Tell me what you guys think. I don't know. You guys tell me. But it says right here, Dr. Mark Serkis, bearer of tragic radiation news. As of Sunday, the prestigious doctor released a new report concurring with a host of scientists and other doctors giving evidence that people of Japan and the United States have been subjected to dangerous levels of radiation since the Fukushima nuclear plant meltdown, and is also subjected to a tight cover-up by authorities and media. Well, we already knew that. So they're saying finally, 3 months later, we're getting some numbers. And finally, we can begin to understand the enormous cover-up of this nuclear doom that is reaching the lungs all over the west coast of America, Canada, Alaska, Hawaii, and at least half of Japan. Now, guys, it is time to wake up. It is time to get together. It is time to do the things that we need to do. Do it for your children. Stop thinking about yourselves, guys. This is getting serious. Anyways, I'm going to move on to the next article.
All right, we're going to leave there, and the video is posted up so you can go watch. It's got a number of stories there you want to hear. One of these stories that is there that you may not be aware of is this one right here. Flood risk prompts evacuations in Minot, North Dakota. Authorities have ordered the evacuation of some 12,000 people from the city of Minot, North Dakota and surrounding areas because of expected recorded flooding, officials said Tuesday. The swollen Source River flows straight through the city and is expected to overwhelm area levees, said Cicely Fong, spokeswoman for the North Dakota Department of Emergency Services. Minot, located in the north-central part of the state, is the fourth largest city in North Dakota. Pay attention, folks. Floods are happening. People are being evacuated. This isn't the first time this is going on. And then here we have Virginia nuclear reactor shuts down. Problem detected in cooling duct. A Virginia Dominion Power spokeswoman said Tuesday the utility has aborted efforts to restart the unit, which has been out of service since April 16th. Tornado knocked out electricity. Spokesperson Richard Zucher told Richmond Times Dispatch that Unit 2 was shut down Monday after a problem was detected in one of the unit's cooling ducts. Now, isn't it strange that we're having all of these issues with all these nuclear reactors and all their cooling ducts? Is there any coincidence that maybe they're all made by the same manufacturers and they all have maybe the same flaw within them? Would that be General Electric, the company that owns one of the media, with the General Electric that doesn't want to pay taxes and wants to get the cheapest labor possible? Is that the same General Electric we're talking about? Yeah, it is. So we need to take care of that issue. Watch out for the floods, my friends. They're going on. Check out Packy's videos there. The link's up. And then pay attention to what's going on with Dutch Sins. He's talking about all the continuous harp rings and the weather outbreaks, and he's right on top of everything. He's talking about Texas, Louisiana, the Carolinas, another harp ring outbreak. That if you happen to be seeing the weather the other day, you would have noticed this strange weather formation that seemed to be taking place right in this here. It was almost as if someone intentionally had created a weather storm. And those are the kind of things that are happening, unfortunately, with this harp-related incident. So as you can see, we're dealing with a lot, folks. We're dealing with a lot of stuff, but you got to be level-headed. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what the moment is going to come that where the shoe's going to drop and we're all going to have to take action in some regards. But you need to be smart, okay? Now, I give a lot of consideration to what it is that I'm talking about on this show and how I'm presenting things. And, you know, first of all, I've been here consistently now for over 400. This is what, 433rd show. I've been here consistently. I'm going to continue to be here. I feel very inspired to be putting this information out. We've chosen to do a 1-hour show as opposed to doing a short little 15-minute chunk here and there. Those are great. You should watch all of those that you can find because they're informative. We wanted to do something here with this show, which was a whole show that covers a whole body of information, which we do each and every day. So we're going to be bringing you the full-on show every day. And with all of the information out there, I don't want to be the doom and gloom guy who's going to bring you all kind of bad news. Okay, none of us want to do that. We want to inform you. That's the objective. So my position is I'm going to be one of those voices that's talking to you through all of this nonsense and how we're going to get from here to there. Because I know we're going to get there. We just have to get there smartly. We have to use our intelligence to get there. Because there's nothing out there that we can't get through. Of course, if a natural disaster comes and we get taken out by that, well, then that happens. But for the most part, we're all in this together here. We all have a way to move through this. We can do it in different ways. We can do it physically, which we're going to have to do to make it through these times. But we also have to be able to get through it spiritually. Because we can use our minds. And we can create scenarios of protection around ourselves. We can create scenarios of change taking place. We can affect what is going on to help make changes. Okay? That is what all spiritual philosophy talks about. The ability of consciousness to have an effect on things. Therefore, we, as a whole, can affect what is going on by changing our consciousness. Now, in the world we live in, there are those that know this, because we're in the middle of a battle of light and dark. The forces of dark, they know that they can stop the forces of good, the forces of light, by simply throwing fear into the mixture. Because if you're afraid, then you're not going to think clearly. You may be acting irrationally. You're going to pass information on that's not correct. You're just going to be in a state of mind that's not going to be able to do the job you need to do of consciously creating a future that has a positive place to go as opposed to a fearful place. Right now there's a lot of fear in the world. Fear of the weather, fear of the governments, fear of the militaries, on and on and on. Let's not be afraid. Let's think of the strength that is available to us, because the strength that we have comes to us from the Creator, and we are all imbued with this strength to be able to go forth in life and to create, to live, to love. That's what's important. All of this nonsense and this fear is false expectations appearing real. That's what's going on. The mainstream media wants to make you afraid. They want to make you afraid. They want to dumb you down. The governments want to make you afraid. The education systems want to dumb you down. When you're dumb and not thinking clearly, it's easy to make you afraid. All of the systems that are out there are about confining you more so a small group can continue to gain more power, more money, more influence, to gain more control of the world. But it's not going to happen because there's too many good people out there who have the ability to gather together and to use their consciousness to create positive things. And there's too many people that are out there wanting to stand up. This is a time we are all stepping up. We're all little by little waking up, and that's the important part, that we continue to do that. So in the spirit of all of this, let's go into this meditation. Let's kind of close things out here for the day on a positive note of having clear minds so we can go forth and we can create consciously a future filled with all sorts of positivity. All right? So go ahead and close your eyes. You got 2 minutes here. Close your eyes. I simply want you to imagine. I want you to imagine that you are seated in a room, and all around you are all sorts of noise and distractions. And in the midst of it, you sit there calmly and quietly. And the more the distractions are around you, the calmer and the quieter you become. And you tell your mind that you're not going to be affected by the distractions. You're going to stay focused on the love. You're going to stay focused on the positivity. And as you stay focused on the love and the positivity, you find yourself moving through life in a different way. As you focus on the love and the positivity, you find that your life has a different meaning, that you're not caught up in all of the fears. And as you focus on the love and the positivity, it allows you the opportunity in a clear state of mind to send love and positivity to those who are confused, to those who are caught up in fear. And by doing this exact thing, you're spreading the message of love, and you're spreading the positive energy around the planet. So imagine sending a blanket of love all around the planet right now, connecting with every individual who wishes to accept this love, to receive this, and feel the love that is being sent to you right now from people all around the planet. Now, as you're sending out this love, send a good vibe to everybody. Send good thoughts for everybody. Blessings and good wishes. And let's bring our energy and intention back now to the present moment, holding these positive thoughts in our hearts and in our minds. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment strengthened by the experiences of the past, awake, alert, ready to go, ready for the new day. If your day is just beginning, go out and have an awesome day today. If your day is ending, go have great dreams and be ready for the next day. Wherever you are in the course of your day, just go out and have a great experience the rest of your time. Okay? Remember, we're all in this together. We are all in this together. Love trumps fear. So let's just be in a place of love. Let's love each other. Let's love the planet. Let's think good, positive thoughts, and we're going to make it through this. We are indeed. Challenges are out there, but we're going to make it through it. Challenges make people stronger. They make all beings stronger. So let's get stronger through this experience, my friends. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace. I'm out of here.